Welcome to the Prospective Doctor Podcast, brought to you by Med School Coach. Pre-med and medical students alike are encouraged to tune in each week for tips on how to become a strong med school candidate, gain acceptance into the school of your dreams, and succeed on your journey toward residency and becoming a doctor.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Erika Aragona. I'm just going to have her just introduce herself and tell us a little bit about your journey through medicine.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and speaking with you on topics today that are so near and dear to my heart. So I am a dual board certified family medicine physician. So basically what that means is I went to an osteopathic medical school, and then I finished my training in a dual program. So I sat for both the allopathic and osteopathic medical boards. And now I practice right outside of Boise, Idaho. I'm a full-time family physician, and I really focus on women's health. That really is my passion. And then I also teach at the local medical school, so Idaho College of Osteopathic Medicine, where I'm a women's health faculty member. And I also teach clinical small group skills. So from day one of getting into medical school, how to hold an otoscope or a stethoscope and how to even turn it on. So my passion has been going back to the beginning, teaching medical students and training them just the way that I was trained. So that's where I'm at right now. And I've just recently started diving into the realm of social media, and that has become pivotal since in the time of COVID, so much of my practice has changed where patients were coming in or more people were listening to social media over actual clinicians or scientific evidence. So I've developed a website, it's www.dr-erika.com, where I talk about cheerfulness in medicine, resiliency, highlighting the good in life and the good that we want to celebrate. And a lot of my writing is inclusive of the medical students I teach, so that we can start from the beginning and having that passion carry on through the duration of our careers.
I love that. That's so important. I love what you said about getting back to the basics, because I think as a lot of people progress through their journey of medicine and they become attendings, a lot of things just become second nature and you get kind of lost in your day-to-day. But it's very important to reach back and to help the next generation of physicians learn how to see patients, how to develop those clinical skills, and how to communicate. So I love that you have this website out where you're fostering reliable medical information and learning how to educate not only future physicians, but also our patients.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's just so important. The attendings that stood out to me from my training were the ones that were passionate and had this joy of serving their patients, and they didn't lose sight of their passions. And so what I'm aiming to do is reverse that stereotype that we can't have a life outside of medicine, or at least normalize it from the beginning, that students don't have to categorize themselves as just students or just physicians, but that their own unique gifts, their talents, their passions are what are going to make them that top-notch, excellent provider, that physician who reaches out to their patients on a different level. So a patient sees them as an equal, as a friend who they can bond over the same concert they went to or the same favorite restaurant. It's amazing what you can learn when you become human and a friend to your patients. And we've seen that in medicine, and we've seen that in studies where patients develop more trustworthiness and more compliance, honestly, if they trust their physician. They will learn and also live by what they say because they trust who they are. So if we can keep patients happy and relate to us and have them form those bonds, we will be the strongest physicians possible. And we don't lose sight of that. The training is crazy hard as a med student. I mean, I was exhausted. It's so easy to talk about never losing sight of my social life now. I didn't have a social life when I was in medical school. I don't know many doctors who did. But why can't we at least allow time to breathe, to give our passions time and space that they deserve, so we never lose that and we can continue it throughout our entire lives?
I couldn't agree more. And I love that you spoke about bringing back that humanity in medicine, because that's who we are. Being a physician is a component of who you are, but it does not define who you are as a person. So there's so much more to life than your career. And you can bring those aspects of, like you said, music or whatever your interest may be to connecting with your patients, and then also enjoying the other parts of your life outside of medicine.
Totally. And, I think what we're trying to achieve here is not just the humanity and the happiness and the fluff of it all. I think a lot of times students get so sucked into perfection, or at least needing to pass that next test, needing to study for the next set of boards, that it seems almost like, well, where am I going to have time for this to fit into my life? And what we're trying to convey is almost creating time through medical schools and organizations to celebrate the uniqueness and diversity of the students that we interview from the very beginning. And so serving on the admissions committee for the school that I work with has really been eye-opening. I can tell you firsthand what we look for is a unique person. All of the applicants are excellent in their scientific studies, their scores, their overall GPAs, and all of their experience as shadowing other physicians, or what their work-life balance had been prior to the interview process. Then we start to get down to their volunteerism, their extracurricular activities, their social interests. And that is what shows me what kind of physician I really want to have working with me. I love candidates who embrace their passions and are completely outside of the scientific realm, because that's what patients often look for too. It's so much easier to relate to someone if you have on a t-shirt from, a state that they visited that they loved, and they can talk to you about a family reunion, and you can share what you've done as well, versus just breaking down the science. So we really are looking for well-rounded individuals and celebrating that. We want them to be brave, be bold, never lose their personalities from the very beginning.
I love that you mentioned that. And for the listeners out there, definitely take notes, because Dr. Erika, she has a wealth of information. We didn't mention that she's spoken on the Reflective Doc and Kevin MD podcast about how to embrace your personality and social lives and maintain humanity and self-love throughout your training, and how to go about interviewing with your showcasing and highlighting your individualism. So now during the pandemic, interviews have changed a little bit, where a lot of them are virtual. We don't know what this new interview season will bring as the pandemic progresses and changes, but how can one prepare for the virtual interviewing process and also showcase their individuality while perhaps even being on a Zoom or something like that?
Yeah, I still want to see personality. And we love seeing personality traits shine through. So with personal statements, or writing a letter to go with your application, detailing your interests and what sets you apart is first and foremost what I'm going to be looking for. What we all look for. We expect candidates to have passed a set requirement. After that, it's where you shine. So if you are in a full-time position for a decade before applying to medical school, we'd love to hear that. What makes you stand out? What skills and traits have you developed while working with the general public for that 10 years? If you were in a specific social interest group, or you did a volunteer project overseas, we want to hear about that. I don't want to just have it listed as I volunteered at blank. Well, what did that mean to you? How did you change your character? How did your character develop or grow past what you had before you started that endeavor? It's very interesting to hear what applicants will say, and what makes them set apart in my mind is when they light up about an experience because it's genuine. It's not a project they did to put on a resume to look good on paper. This is something I could ask them about all day and they wouldn't stop talking. That Zoom meeting would have to be cut off, because they could tell me hours and hours about how their work changed their life and the lives of the others that they worked with. That's the kind of project that I'm interested in. Something that touches your soul, that's true and genuine to you and makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're going to be doing in medicine, right? We're going to be working with patients who usually see us not on the best day of their lives. But at the end of the visit, our goal is for them to leave the visit smiling, comfortable, content and feeling like their questions were answered in a way that they feel better after seeing you. Same thing with these experiences. That's what I think makes a fantastic, fantastic physician.
I love that you mentioned and highlighted that, because a lot of students have questions that come in where they're asked, okay, what types of doctors do I have to shadow? I think I'm going to be an orthopedic surgeon before they enter medical school, or they're very ambitious, or they want to know how many nursing homes they need to visit to kind of fluff up their application. But me and a lot of other guests on the podcast, and you as well, have said that it doesn't really matter what your experience is, as long as it's something that you enjoy and that can contribute to things. People can mentor a dance studio, or we had someone recently on the show when he was a medical student who was a DJ on a radio station. And it's just about, how do you connect with people and what makes you thrive and what helps build up your skill sets and your characters. And there are a lot of transferable skills that you can build through other experiences that you enjoy, that don't have to be necessarily working as a scribe. Although that's a wonderful experience, it may not be something for you.
100%. So I allow a lot of third year and fourth year students to shadow and rotate with me as a preceptor. And currently I'm actually working with one on drafting his letter for residency applications. And that's the exact question I go, how do I stand out? I used to do work in the medical field, so I can say that I'm trained. They'll like to hear that I have this experience. I say, well, yeah, that's wonderful. Definitely add that. But what makes you stand out? Like, genuinely, what makes you stand out? So for him, DJing is awesome. I think that's great that somebody said that to you. For him, it was aerial photography. And he's like, it's drones. I don't think anyone would care. He said, but did you look at the world differently? Yes. So, well, how does that change your perspective? Well, now I have to see things from all different angles. I have to interpret things. I have to not always just take stuff for surface value. Beautiful answer. That is what we want in a clinician. That's what I want in a doctor, is someone who can take their skills and then transfer it to medicine. So for me, it's writing. I majored in English literature, and I published my first book of poetry when I was still in college. And it was about my experiences shadowing physicians and how I didn't understand it. And I was so emotional, and I was trying to question the heart of medicine, the soul and the purpose of medicine. And the juxtaposition worked well for me, because it's still something that I evaluate and question constantly in my day-to-day practice. So a lot of what I do is emotional and exploratory writing. Well, how does that translate into my patient practice? Every single day, I have patients who are emotional or have needs where maybe it's not even scientific. They don't even want medical advice. They want someone to listen to them and be their support system. So much of medicine revolves around that. So if you can take your individual strengths and traits and amplify them and utilize them to your best benefit, but also to the benefit of your patients, you're going to succeed in anything that you do.
At Med School Coach, we know that getting into medical school is hard. In fact, 60% of pre-meds who apply to a medical school don't even get accepted. And if you want to get accepted into a top medical school, it's even harder. That's why more students than ever are turning to MCAT tutoring by Med School Coach. Our tutors are all 99th percentile scorers, have been through rigorous training, and can help raise your MCAT score by 12 points or more. You need every competitive advantage you can get to get into med school, so why not get one-on-one tutoring from Med School Coach? Our expert team will create a custom program just for you and help you master MCAT content where you need the help most. You'll raise your MCAT score. We guarantee it. Visit us online at medschoolcoach.com and use offer code PODCAST10 to save 10% up to $400 on a Med School Coach MCAT tutoring package. You can achieve your medical school dreams, and Med School Coach can help.
That could apply more. And I think that that's something that a lot of people need to think about, not only with your applications, but when you go through rotations, where a lot of students will have their mind set on one thing and not necessarily keep their mind open, or they may not enjoy. For full disclosure, I'm a family physician, and I did not enjoy my obstetrical rotation, but when you think about it, like, you have a lot of skills, and there's something you can learn from each rotation. So if you, for instance, during family medicine residency, I didn't enjoy the OR. Like, I didn't enjoy that. So what could I do to help contribute to the team? I love clinic. So what can I take off of your plate during clinic time, or learn, or how to take a history, or how to do a preoperative evaluation that will help me transfer into the skills I wanted to do in the future? So there's a lot of that you could take from each component and aspect of your life to figure out how to make you a better physician.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, as well as I do in family medicine, it's so diverse too. So what I think was helpful for me was being able to tell a patient now, oh, you're nervous about that sinus surgery that's coming up. I've been on several of those. I've seen them and I've seen how they've been done. So what questions do you have? I might not be able to give you all of the technical answers that your surgeon would, but I can reassure you that I've seen them, I've witnessed them, versus stepping out of the OR and saying, well, I'm not really interested in the case because I know I'm going into family medicine. So what I tell all of my students is you have such a learning opportunity across the board, no matter what you want to go into. And for me, it's the reverse. If they know they want to go into a subspecialty and they're not interested in family medicine, I try to cater a lot of my cases to go towards what their interests are. But at the same time, I throw them into situations that they're not going to see. Because when will you ever see it again? And if you have that patient come into your practice and say, my patient was diagnosed with diabetic ketoacidosis, or my family member was diagnosed with diabetic ketoacidosis, I don't even know what that means. How do I deal with it? You can now say, well, actually, back on one of my rotations, I dealt with that. And I know it's scary. And I've seen how hard it can be. So let's talk about that. Much better than, well, I read about it once when I was studying for boards. Because for patients, they want they want that empathy. They want that relationship. They expect us to be professional and to be trained at the top of our capabilities and to pass all of our examinations. But then do we have the empathy and the personalization to go past that to form that bond?
I couldn't agree more. I want to backtrack a little bit to talk about your day-to-day life. You mentioned that you're quite an advocate for women's health, and you also teach at the medical school about women's health studies. Why is women's health so important?
I love this question because when I was a medical student, I couldn't stand OBGYN either. And in family medicine, I would try to dodge those patients because it was out of my comfort level. And then I decided to have a baby in residency. And I had my daughter when I was my senior year, and I took boards when I was 9 months pregnant, and I was on call overnight when I was 9 months pregnant. And the amazing response that I had was from other moms, no other class of people. And it made me realize that I didn't understand what I was getting into. And when I was advocating for not giving children juice and only giving them water and not co-sleeping and not doing this or that, I'd never been in those shoes, and I'd never seen a fatigued parent, and I'd never been on the receiving end of a C-section and someone who was grappling with pain and also trying to breastfeed for the first time. So what I love about it is now seeing that and seeing the needs that need to be so amplified. I can say firsthand, I've been there. How can I help you? So I transformed my practice into primarily women's health. About 90% of my patients are female, and I do offer prenatal care. And I love being the person to just simply sit and listen and hold space and tell them, I hear you. And I'm not doubting or putting down any of your feelings or the difficulty that you're having. I am just here to listen. And I think it's so powerful as a female and a female physician to have that ability to now look at other women in the face who haven't had that before and give them that understanding and give them that support. So, I joined NALPA, so the National Osteopathic Women Association, when I was in medical school, and then Physician Moms Group, or PMG, online, which is fantastic. There's another group called EWP, or Empowering Women Physicians, exclusive to physicians only. They do allow a few males, but predominantly it's women. It's run by Dr. Sunny Smith. And I would encourage any physician to look into it because it is all about empowerment and support and the fact that we're not competition. And anytime we highlight a female, all of us are elevated. And that is something that I think translates across the board, is we're here to support each other now more than ever. So that's something that I'm extremely passionate about because I live it every single day. I have a mom of 2 children under the age of 6. I'm a full-time doctor. I'm a faculty member. I'm a writer. And at the end of the day, when I'm exhausted, there are 2 people that I want to see every day at my best. My husband's great. He allows me to be fatigued. My children deserve the best of me. So it's a practice that I'm not only preaching, but hopefully actually fulfilling myself every single day.
That's wonderful. I always ask people about why, like their why, and why do they do what they do. And there could be no better reason than for your children and for the future of medicine. And we've seen so much, especially highlighted this year, about how important it is to listen to your patients, especially women, with the increase in mortality during deliveries and things like that. So kudos to everything that you're doing. For the student listeners out there, I want to know, how can they work to advocate for women's health, even as a student?
Yeah. So
groups.
Definitely. So sorry, see, I jumped in. I'm so passionate about it. I love that you asked this question. So those organizations, so look with your medical school and see if there's an organization that supports women. Join it. If there isn't one, make one. If you can't make one, find a way to get just a couple of people together to create your own club. Advocacy starts with one person. It doesn't have to be a large group. You can go out into your community. You can find local women and children's shelters. There is a women's empowerment group called Empowering Women, and then also Women Empower Women. And those are online. You can find them. You can start your own chapters. But what's nice is you can also just go into local communities where there's a need. I'm part of one called United Way, which is a branch off of Women United. And they specifically work with refugee mothers to create care packages or hygiene kits and sanitary kits for women who are at the poverty level or are even homeless, to where we can bring them in and provide the supplies that they need. And we package school supplies for children who are homeless. And we're capitalizing on the fact that these are voices that haven't been heard before. That is our passion and that is our purpose. So for students, the nice thing is, if you can join one of these groups, if they don't exist, you can find one that you'd like to create yourself and model after another group. You can set the time for it, right? You can find the time between tests, even though it's limited. If it's something you're passionate about, you're going to do it anyway because your heart's in it and you're going to be serving the greater good. So they exist everywhere. And if they don't, my encouragement would be to start your own, because the sky is the limit on how many people we can help and how we can help.
At Med School Coach, we know that matching into the specialty of your choice and the residency program of your dreams has a dramatic impact on your career as a physician. And your USMLE score is the most important acceptance factor of all. That's why more students than ever are turning to Med School Coach for USMLE tutoring. Our tutors are all 260 plus scorers and have been through rigorous training. Plus, the average student who uses Med School Coach tutoring raises their score by 23 to 55 points. There is an enormous amount of material you need to know for Step 1 and Step 2, and Med School Coach can help you be smart about how to study. We'll create a custom program just for you. Then, we'll help you master USMLE concepts where you need help most. You'll raise your USMLE score. We guarantee it. Visit us online at medschoolcoach.com and use offer code PODCAST10 to save 10% up to $400 on a Med School Coach USMLE tutoring package. You can achieve your medical school dreams, and Med School Coach can help.
I love that. I love that you mentioned all of the kind of establishment groups and organizations that are out there, but it is also important to reach out to your local organizations. And if you don't see something, it's always okay to create it, because you are the ones that are going to be impacting the community and the environment. So there's always somewhere to help and someone that will be so grateful that you have tried.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that I like to do is I wear a shirt all the time. If you see me online on my Instagram or my TikToks, I've got this shirt that says Women Empower Women, and it's Women Empower Women US. And it was started by a young female in Southern California advocating for women, with part of the proceeds going towards women of domestic violence and sex trafficking. Well, guess what? You can start those chapters any state that you want. And you can wear the shirts. You can show people. I wear it to my clinic, so patients will ask me, what is that? So we have a communication easy. Oh, sure. Let me tell you about it. And I think what's nice is, again, if your time is limited as a student or as a resident or even as a new attending, you have those avenues where you can pick and choose your time based on your schedule. So it's not set in stone. It's not impossible as long as you're passionate about it.
Absolutely. And I think we're twins because I have that shirt too. So,
You do?
yeah,
Oh,
such a wonderful organization. So, all the listeners out there, definitely try to support them. And if you don't want to wear it, or maybe you're a male and you don't want to wear women empowering women, get it for a loved one in your life. And I'm sure that they would enjoy it, and it goes to a great cause.
that's amazing. No, I love that. And I mean, it's just out there if you look. I think Female Quotient is another group that I really like to follow with Shelley Zalis. That's online. It's a huge group that just posts women empowerment. But, I want to talk about starting small because I think grassroots are the most fundamental way that we can change society as a whole. So my favorite thing to do is take female medical students who don't feel like they have a place or a belonging, or they're going into a specialty that is male dominated, and tell them that that's not right, and connect them with females who are in that specialty from day one. So I just had a third year who was interested in vascular surgery tell me that she didn't think she could do it for that sole reason that she was female. So I found a female vascular surgeon I knew. I gave her contact information, and guess where she's rotating? That is the way that we can change things, one person at a time. That is not difficult. It is women uplifting other women. And that's not putting down males. That's not doing anything negative. That is amplifying the voices in a need that has been deserving for centuries, to the point where we can do it one person at a time.
Absolutely. And that's why I find this avenue so important, because we're living in a technologically advanced age. So like you said, you're using social media to educate patients. We're also using it to foster connections and to show people that it's possible and it's okay. And if you don't know someone that may be in that field, maybe you're in an area where your school or your institution doesn't have someone that's female in that field, we can find someone for you. So definitely reach out and utilize your resources and seek that mentorship, because it's so important.
I love it. You couldn't be more spot on. In fact, I write for a company called femhealth.com, and they are amazing because it is feminine health 101. So we will write topics, anything under the sun, meeting female needs, co-authored by medical students. And I'm usually looking for female medical students interested in women's health. What's nice is you now have the ability to work with a physician, a medical student, a whole team, and provide information to the general public about women's health needs. And it's free and it's so easily accessible now more than ever, since everyone's turning online. So it's nice that you can have a voice and be outspoken and also serve the greater good in a medical realm, because that's still my number one passion. But now we're reaching our targeted audience, and we're reaching them so well in the convenience of their own homes.
That is amazing. I would definitely recommend, if you are passionate about getting information about out, or passionate about advocating for causes that you believe in, that you definitely seek out opportunities like Fem Health, because it's also something that will look great when you're applying to residencies. It's something that will be immediately impactful to the audience, and something that you can do to kind of enrich your skill set. My final question for you is, what is the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
Throw it yourself out there. I could not be leaving that more. And if you listen to enough entrepreneurs who talk about how they got started, almost all of them have a similar answer. And I'm not even close to that level, but I will tell you, a year ago, I was nowhere where I am now, because I finally just took the leap of faith. And you have to put yourself out there, because you'll see so much you can do that was stagnated just by fear. So just get started. Get started from scratch. Start the organization if it doesn't exist. Help the person next to you if you see that they need something. There's nothing holding you back except you.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
Totally.
how can our listeners reach out to you if they have any questions, or if they want to learn a little more about any of the organizations that you mentioned?
Yeah, perfect. So the best way to get a hold of me is to just email me at Erika, Erika, at dr.erika.com. Or you can also go to my website, www.dr-erika.com, And then I'm on most social media platforms as Dr_Erika_. So I try to put a lot of medical information out that way. So I will reach out in any of those platforms. But yeah, I would love and welcome the opportunity to talk to students who are interested in writing with me, or just have more questions about the interview process, or really anything about taking their personal needs to the next level. Because what we're looking for is a new generation that's empowered and passionate, and it's totally possible.
Love it. So all of the students out there, don't be shy, utilize your resources, and definitely check us out on our next episode next week. If you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Each episode of the Prospective Doctor podcast is brought to you by Med School Coach. To access articles, videos, webinars, and free tools to help you succeed on your journey toward medical school and beyond, visit our website, prospectivedoctor.com. We hope you tune in again next time.